Hello everyone, and welcome to the Anatomy of Knitting, episode 66. My name is Erin, and I'm going to be your host. Today is April 9th, 2015, and I'm coming to you from Cork, Ireland. We've had a spectacular week of beautiful weather. Currently it is a bit overcast and foggy, so it's providing me with somewhat decent light, but I still look washed out because I always do, because I'm very pale. Anywho, I've got a lot of stuff to talk to you about. I'm recording to you from my craft room, and so let's talk about what's going to be in the show. I have the week in review, I have finished objects, I have works in progress, I have Ask Me Anything segment, I have a sewing segment, and then we're going to talk about our spring summer knit along. Actually start that and talk about what we're doing. So before I forget, I did mean to grab something from over here to show you the finished objects, which I totally forgot. Go there. I need those. I forgot to grab them. So thank you for indulging me with that. So the week in review, we had Easter on Sunday. So I hope you all had a happy Easter, and if you don't celebrate, a happy weekend. The boys had their first Easter egg hunt. I found some of those plastic fillable eggs downtown, and we put some chocolate in there, like the little mini Cadbury cream eggs, and then just these small solid chocolate eggs. And we put some change in there because the boys like to put money in their piggy banks. They don't quite understand the concept of money quite yet, but they've got a good start on their piggy banks. And my husband and I recorded some video for that, which I then edited into a movie to share with friends and family. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, you probably saw the video, or at least saw that I posted the link to the video, so you can watch it there. Or if you're interested, it's about a 9.5-minute video. My YouTube channel is, I believe, EKSRN2002. That's me on YouTube. And you can check that out. It's just the Easter egg hunt, which lasted all of about 5 minutes. And then we decided to, because the boys had some chocolate after the Easter egg hunt, we decided to take them to a park, a local park. So I included that in the video too. So they had some fun. It was a very successful Easter. And then here in Ireland, the Monday following was a bank holiday. And basically a bank holiday is what it sounds like. Banks and government offices are closed. Think of like a Martin Luther King Day or something like that. So my husband had the day off as well, and we decided to head over to Killarney, which is, I believe, a little north and a little east of us. I'll have to look at a map to confirm, but we decided to go to the National Park in Killarney. And I have some pictures from Ross Castle where we went that I'll put at the end. It was a very picturesque area. There were a lot of boats that the boys like to look at, and I think Malcolm really wants to get on a boat and take a ride. So, yep, we did that. I opened a new blog. I used to post to a knitting blog. It was Knitting RN, but I haven't posted to that in like 4 or 5 years. And because my crafts have extended beyond just knitting and spinning, I decided to start a new blog. And so it's on WordPress, and it's twinmomquilts.wordpress.com. There's not much on there now, but slowly but surely I am adding more content. And so there's that. If you're interested in checking that out, you don't have to. And then I am going to a book launch tonight And let me see if I can pull up the information, just in case there are any local people that will end up watching this today after I post it. There is a book launch that I am attending. Here we go. Let's see if I can find... The app here is so much more challenging. Here we go. So it's going to be a book launch for These Islands, which is a book of knitting patterns from Ireland and Britain. It's going to be hosted at Knit Middleton, which is, let's see, west of here, maybe a little north. The tickets were $5, and it runs from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Please join us for the launch of our new book, These Islands, from Knits from Ireland, Scotland, and Britain. Attendees will be greeted with a drinks reception, have the opportunity to meet the authors, and have books signed. They'll be showcasing the projects from the book and providing featured artisan yarns for purchase. They'll be kicking off a knit-along of the lace shawl pattern featured in the book. And a limited number of knit-along kits will be available for purchase on that night, tonight. Sorry about that. Ticket holders will be entered into a raffle for a special craft hamper valued at over €80. Must be present to win, 18 only, because apparently there's some craft beers in there as well. One of the authors of this book, Evan Bale O'Keefe, is a member. She's also an expat American, I believe, living here in Cork. I think she's been here much longer than I have. I want to say like 4 or 5 years, probably even longer. She's one of the authors of this book, and then she also has another book, Knit, Bake, Sew, that I'm hoping that I'll have an opportunity to find and purchase. Wow, I am really blown out here. I guess I just have to stay way back. So that's the plan. And then one of the things that I got in preparation for tonight, because I'm going to try and schmooze, is a business card. Oh, it's so bright. Goodness gracious. Let me see if I can pull down. Sorry about that. Oh, that's much better. So, just a business card, and it's going to have the email and the web address on there. So, and then it's got personal contact information that y'all don't need to know at the moment. So, yeah, that's the week in review, and I should have some exciting things to talk about next week about the book launch. I haven't actually been to an event like this here, or really any time, even when I was in the States, a book launch. So that should be an interesting experience. So let's move on. That's the end of the week in review. I have a couple of a singular finished project, but they are both finished. These are the Pyroclastic socks from the Winter 2009 Knitty. Oh, there's going to be a lump, and I'll explain that in just a moment. I have that one. Let's see if I can find that one. I played Yarn Chicken with these, and you can see I was concerned last week that I wouldn't have enough yarn to finish the sock, and my plan was that I was going to use some cream yarn to finish them off, but I did not need it for either sock. You'll see that the amount of the yarn I had left over from one sock, let's see if I can, was a little over a yard. Yep. That's how long. A little over a yard for one sock, which I will throw away. And then the other little bit of yarn that I had left is in here. I put them in the socks so I wouldn't lose them because they were very small. That's the amount of yarn that I had left over from the first sock. So not enough for a blanket square, so I will throw them away. So these are the socks. I'm not really a big fan of how this is curling over at the top, but whatever. They're beautiful socks. This is a lace pattern. It does look like a cable when you kind of look at it, but it's all done with lace. A very simple, easy lace pattern. I would completely recommend this for an experienced or a moderately experienced sock knitter who is new to lace, because the construction of the socks are a little bit interesting. You'll see that at the bottom there is, let's see, yeah, there's the arch shaping right there on the bottom of the foot, and it creates this sort of biased fabric here, and then it ends at a point right here, and so that kind of takes over the lace patterning on the sock. Oh, everything is so reversed, so I always have to remember. So I have partridge heel, which is alternating which stitches you slip on the heel. So instead of having the line of slip stitches, it's a pattern like that. And can't think of anything else. Nice, warm, cushy socks. I probably could have gotten away with knitting the smaller size, but these fit. And I think with some washing, they'll fit even better. Because I don't hand wash my socks typically. I put them in the washing machine. So, finished objects. Yay! All done. I got a lot of stuff, so I gotta mark out what I've talked about. Yep. Okay. The next thing that I have been working on is my sock yarn blanket, and I have not gotten as much completed with this as I have previous weeks. I think the last time I spoke to you, I was either working on this square or I was about to cast it on. So I knit 2 squares this week. And I ended up and these are repeated colors because up to that point I had only been using colors I hadn't used yet. Although I have since found this small ball of yarn that is left over from the last pair of socks that I knit. This is Socks That Rock in the Space Dust colorway. So that's going into the bag, and that will be the next yarn that I use to knit on the sock yarn blanket. So not much there to talk about. Just a continuous project. It's going to be happening over the years, or probably years. The next thing that I have is the Hitufude cardigan. I have not cast that on, and that's mainly because it calls for, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. I have to look it up because my brain is just escaped me. It is called, I keep wanting to say primitive cast on, but it's not. It's provisional cast on. And I completely fail every time I try and do a crochet chain of a provisional cast on. And so Isolde has a technique that she has posted on her website. I know I have a crochet hook somewhere in here. Here we go. Where she's got still pictures of how to use a crochet hook with your knitting needle and do a provisional cast on around using a crochet hook around your knitting needle. And that has been the only way that I have been able to successfully do a provisional cast on and then have it unzip nicely. Because I can do a single crochet chain, but then I always invariably pick up the wrong part of the chain to knit. So I need to come up with some waste yarn so I can do that provisional cast on. And I have figured out which size to knit. So one of the projects that I favorited, I told you that how they suggested to pick a size. And if you'll forgive me while I grab my measuring tape that I have handy. So the way that the angle that back down, the Hitufude cardigan is, so you knit the shrug part and then pick up and knit the rest of the sweater. And the way that the person that I am taking advice from suggests is to measure, let's see if I can do this. So you measure around your body, gotta get my, like so. So you get the tape measure up here around your neck, and then around your back, and then around your shoulders, because that's sort of how you put on a shrug, right? So then you measure. It looks like I'm about 53 inches that way. And since I knit the swatch to gauge, and if anybody likes this purple tape measure, this is one of those extra long tape measures that quilters use. It goes to, I think, 110 inches. So if you want a nice purple tape measure, that's what it is. So my circumference there that my goal to get to is 53 inches. And because I knit my swatch to gauge, the stitch gauge is 20 stitches in 4 inches. So to do the math, you do 20 divided by 4 to get your inch gauge, which is 5 stitches per inch. And then because I need 53 inches to have a comfortable fit, I do 53 times 5, and I get 265. Now I take that number and I go to the pattern, and because the pattern is paid for, I'm not going to tell you what numbers, but you go to page, let's see, where was it? You go to page 3 of 5, and you look for the 1x1 rib for shoulder and waist instructions, and you look at the bottom. It gives you 2 lines of instructions, and then at the bottom of that, in brown writing, it says, now you have X number of stitches on your needle, and it's got it for each size. So I look to see which size is closest to this number of 265, and it turns out the second to largest size is 1 stitch away from that. So that's the size that I'm going to knit, which is the extra large size, and yeah, 46 to 50. So there you go. That's how I figured out my size. And so I was thinking that I would make a video of the provisional cast on using a crochet hook and your knitting needle, so you all can see how it works. So that's my plan. I have at least figured out which size I need to knit. With that, let's see. I think that's it all knitting wise. So I'll get this out of my way. I wanted to mention, I know I've mentioned Massdrop, the website, in the past for a good website for you to find less expensive sewing supplies. I've noticed that they are currently doing a drop for some interchangeable needles, I believe by Tulip. And I hadn't really seen knitting stuff on there before, so I figured I'd mention it here. Again, Massdrop is a website where They put up voting for what kind of drops you want. And what they do is when there's enough votes for, let's say, the interchangeable needle set, the mass drop will then approach the company that makes those interchangeable needles, and they will negotiate, because they have so many people interested in buying, they'll negotiate, hey, I have X number of people that want to buy this. Can you give us a deal on this? And so all of the drops usually are anywhere from 30 to 50% off of the retail price. So that's something to know. I will move on to the Ask Me Anything thread, and I have this pulled up. I got 2 questions over the week, and let's see. The first question is from Ravelry Patches. She says, I can't remember if you ever said which method you knit. Your projects move along so much faster than mine, and I think I'm able to knit often for long periods of time as I am retired. However, it seems to take forever to complete a project. I see how much you accomplish with the boys in your busy schedule, and I am jealous. Really enjoy seeing and hearing the boys. You are such a good mom. Thank you. I know I'm biased, but I think the boys are pretty cute too. So I taught myself how to knit probably close. It was when I was in college, so probably close to 15 years ago. And this was prior to YouTube and all the video type sites where you can go and learn how to knit. And I taught myself how to knit from a book, and I did it by looking at the pictures, but somehow I taught myself how to knit combination style, which means so when I knit, I throw with my left hand. And most people, when they knit and they're throwers, they throw with their right hand. I also, at that time, would purl. Let's see, which way do I purl now? Thinking about it, I can't remember which way I purl. But back then, when I would purl, it would lay the stitch the opposite way that most people knit. So instead of, and I'm trying to do this reverse so it would be the way it is for you. Instead of the stitch being like this, and you have to come up through the needle that way, it would be like that. So my other needle would just come straight through. I wouldn't have to kind of do a little bit of angling in the right way. Do I even have anything? I don't even have anything on the needles that I can show you up here because I'm a big failure. So once I discovered that I knit funny, well, not funny, but differently from other people, I re-taught myself how to do the purl. So currently when I purl now, the stitch lies correctly on the needle. So yeah, that's, I mean, I sort of miss, doing it the other way, but it's been so long since I've taught, myself to purl the correct way, that's what I do now. And I don't really feel like I get a lot of projects done quickly. That green sweater that I recently finished, I've been knitting on for 6 months. And the socks that I just finished, that's been the quickest project that I've knit recently. Those took me about 2 weeks. And I can't think of the last time that I knit something in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's crazy. My productivity used to be a lot faster prior to having children, but I didn't have children then. And a lot of my time I focus on them instead of focusing on something else. People ask how I get so much crafty stuff done. My house isn't as clean as it should be, although it's not disgusting. It's clean, but it's not immaculate. but I don't think with toddlers you can have an immaculate house. But what I've done to keep myself on track with keeping the house clean is every day of the week I've assigned a weekly chore. So the way it's turned out is that Mondays, what do I do on Mondays? I think it's just kind of general picking up clutter Mondays, and then Tuesdays I clean all the bathrooms, and we have 4 bathrooms in the house. There's a guest toilet on the first floor that's just a toilet. There are 2 bathrooms on the floor beneath me, in the guest room and then in the master bedroom. And then there's a bathroom up here for the boys' room. So I clean the toilet. I clean the bathrooms after the boys go down for a nap. Wednesdays I clean the floors, so I vacuum and mop. Thursdays are my free day. I've set this up so Thursdays I can focus on recording with you all. And then Fridays are going to be dust and polish days. So glass and then dust. So that kind of gives me a generally clean house. Not disgusting house. And it's gotten to the point where the boys are giving me about a half hour to 45 minutes of play where they can play in the playroom safely by themselves while I do my chores. So on Tuesdays I do like the bathroom downstairs while they're playing, and then they're letting me they're letting me they're giving me the opportunity to vacuum downstairs and then the floor below me. I don't feel comfortable being all the way up here on the 3rd floor while they're down in the playroom. So I usually save doing the vacuuming up here until Thursdays when they're not here. So I've structured it so I can do a lot of these chores while they're awake. So during nap time is when I do sewing. So I'll catch up on anything I need to do around the house, or like if there's bills to pay or phone calls to make, I'll do that right after they go to sleep. And then usually from about 3 until 5, so the boys typically don't go down for a nap from 2 to 5 right now. I know, I am blessed. So I sew during that time. And then after they go to bed at night is when I knit. So I have technically more time to knit than sew. And so that's how I get what I get done. And I don't think I'm a super fast knitter, but I'm not a slow knitter. And if I focus on something, i.e. the socks that I knit in the past 2 weeks, then I can get something done fairly quickly. I think the record for doing a pair of fingering weight socks for myself was about 3 or 4 days. So that is how I get things done so fast. And then I had a second question. I hope that answered your question, Patches. Beagle Mom Knitter, excuse me, said, I'd love to know more about your husband's job. It's fascinating to me that you moved with 2 little people so far away. How long are you going to be in Ireland? Is the plan to return to Washington? I think it must be terribly exciting, but a little scary too, to leave home like that. Amen. It was more than a little scary. It was quite terrifying. We are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of living here. When my husband and I got married, that was back in 2009, he started the job that he is currently at in August of that year. So in August of this year, it will be 6 years that he's worked for this company. And what his company does is they provide very large, I think the term is high volume storage via network solutions. Basically, his company sells really big hard drives to other companies to store all their data on via a network. So instead of like your computer centrally keeping your data here, it would be somewhere in server land, is my basic understanding of it. He works in the customer service part of that. So when companies have problems, they call up the customer service line, and he is on the 5th tier right now, which I think is the highest. I don't know if there's a level 6 support engineer, but he's level 5 currently. So that's the job that he was doing in the States. And I guess the parent company, so the company that he started out with back in 2009 got bought by another company, a bigger company. And that company, I guess, has decided to, instead of having people in Seattle do the on-call support for the entire world, so, somebody would always have to be on call at all times. And more than one person, I think, would have to be on call for any problems that cropped up. They decided to open, I think, what they call centers of excellence. And I'm pretty sure there's one in India. And they opened up this one, and I think they've opened them up all over the world. And so they recently have opened this one, and they needed somebody to come over and bring everybody up to snuff. Not that they weren't up to snuff, but they were inexperienced, and they just needed mentoring. So they gave my husband the opportunity to do this. And we have always sort of had this running joke of, he was, before we had this opportunity to move, he would occasionally have to travel around the world to go to customers and solve their problems. So he's been to Brazil, and he went to Hamburg, and where else has he been? Canada. I think, he went to Canada as part of that. And so when he would go on these trips, he would always kind of look at me, and this was prior to children. He would say, like, so if I had the opportunity to move to Tokyo, if my company said, hey, let's send you to Tokyo and you can live there and do the job from there, would that be a place that you would be interested in saying yes to? And we sort of had a very short list of places that if they had given him the opportunity at work, if they approached him one day at work and said, we want you to move to London to work there, would you? That he had the okay from me to say yes immediately, like he wouldn't have to consult me. And basically the short list was London. That's the one place that I said, you don't even have to ask me, I'll move there in a heartbeat. So, and I guess there was a manager here that came over to the States and said, hey, we need somebody to come over and help mentor these guys so they can learn the product and provide excellent customer service. And would you be able to do that? And so we talked about it, and I've always thought that this would be a great opportunity for the boys. I sort of wish that they were older so they could kind of understand what was going on. But if we're going to do this, best to kind of do it before they are in school and have friends and activities that we have to take them away from. Right now they don't have serious ties other than their grandparents, which are very serious ties, but they don't have like ties to friends or schools or activities, basically. So we figured now would be an easier time to do this if we were going to do this at all. And it was difficult. We moved our house over. So last year in, I think, early March, all of our household goods, so like these cabinets here, basically all of the furniture got loaded up onto a shipping container and then put on a boat. And we were without our most of our belongings for 2 months, 2.5 months. I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 months, but it was a while. There was a shipping container that had an air shipment container that had the necessities, so we put on some folding chairs, so we'd have something to sit on here, some air mattresses, so we'd have something to sleep on, bedding for those mattresses, some kitchen stuff, some toys for the boys, and I had my electric spinning wheel in that shipment as well. So the air shipment came over. So what we did was we got everything put on these 2 shipment containers, the sea and the air, and we lived with my family for about a month and gave all that stuff a head start. And then my mom and Bernie and myself and the boys got on an airplane and flew out here. And we wouldn't have been able to do this move without my mom and her help. She stayed with us for 2 weeks after was it 2 or 1? I think it was 2. She stayed with us for 2 weeks here and then helped us just land, basically. We got here, we stayed in a hotel for about 3 days. The second day that we were here, our air shipment got delivered to the house, and we got the keys to the house, and yeah, then camped out for about a month, and then our sea shipment got here. So it's challenging to move with toddlers. The boys were 16 months when we moved, which, I mean, I won't say it was a bad idea. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to get on an airplane and fly all that long distance. I hate every second of it. I hate flying with those little boys right now because you get no time to relax at all when you fly with little toddlers. But having all of us be back in the States when we go on these trips is worth it, and then being here is worth it. So yeah, we're crazy, but I think it's okay. It's working for us, and I'm not sure I'd recommend moving in April, mainly because all of the crafty stuff gets shut down over the summer. I had a really hard time adjusting once we got here, because once I found all of the crafting groups, they had one more meeting and then they were closed down for the summer. So I found that really difficult. I was all by myself during the summer. I had no support. So that has since changed, thankfully. And I hope I answered your question. That was Beagle Mom Knitter, right? Right. Yeah, it was scary. Yes, but worth it. There's been some things I've been glad that we've kind of missed about being in the States. All the gun violence. I haven't really heard of any sort of gun violence here. The insurance issue here, I feel is much better. The healthcare, it's different, but I feel like if something really dramatic happened to one of us, it wouldn't bankrupt us. And that's always a concern back in the States, is that, what happens if I get hit by a car and I'm in the hospital for 3 months? That's a scary thought back in the States. Anyway, let's move on from that to more happy things, because I'm at 40 minutes and I need to keep on track. Sewing stuff. I have been busy sewing. You'll notice in the videos I sewed Easter baskets for the little boys. This is a pattern that I found via Pinterest, and I linked to this on my Twin Mom Quilts site. Let's see, I have a view site, so I can open up that website. This is a tutorial by Sit and Stitch a While from Sew Luxe Fabric. It is sewluxe.blogspot.ie/Easter-basket-tutorial.html. Basically, I think what I did was I went on Pinterest and I just typed in sewing Easter basket and found this. And I made two of them. One is in this airplane fabric and helicopter fabric because the boys are into airplanes and helicopters right now. And then it's got a contrast fabric of these red stars. The inside is quilted to quilt batting, and the outside fabric is interfaced, so it stands up fairly well on its own. It still has their candy in it. And then I made emergency vehicles, and there's like these, what are these, asterisks for the inside. These were fat quarters that I purchased here in Ireland, so I don't really know what fabric company they're from. They were part of like bundles, fat quarter bundles that I had somebody had selected. So this was like part of a little boy. These were as part of that bundle, little boy assortments. Is what I'm trying to say. The only thing that I think I would do differently about this is that the outside here is constructed all in one piece. So you'll see that this print continues and then is upside down on this side. I think what I would do is have a seam down the bottom. That way the directional print wouldn't run the opposite direction. That would be the only thing that I would change about that. Otherwise, it's a super easy tutorial. You have a large rectangle that you fold up, sew the sides down, you box the corners. You do the same with the inside fabric. First you quilt the inside fabric to batting, then you do the same thing, fold it in half, sew the two side seams, box the corners, and then assemble your basket. So the boys really enjoyed them. They were fighting over them. And yeah. The other thing that I have been sewing, there's actually two things. One I'm not going to show you just because I'm running short on time. But this one, the April Modern Irish Bee Blocks. This is constructed using a 9-patch, and what you do is you have a 3.5-inch square, and then you have a 2.5-inch white square. You draw a line across the diagonal of the 2.5-inch square. You put it on top of your square of pattern fabric, and you sew on that line. You trim a 1/4 inch away from that sewn line, and press your white square out, so it creates this unit, this square unit that has a little triangle, and then you alternate where you put the triangles. So you can create this sort of diagonal line. And these are just fabrics that I had left over from other projects in stash. So there's one, and there's two. And the queen bee, that's how they refer to it here, wanted happy fabrics, so I chose all of those. That is the Modern Irish Bee for April. So now that I've shown it to you, I can send that off tomorrow. Because that's always my thing. I have to show them to you and then I can send them on. The last thing I want to talk about is the Spring Summer Sweater Knit-Along, the Skackle. The Skackle. I had a question from Empty Knitster about, she had some full-mize lace weight yarn that she wanted to knit into a sweater. And I told her I would do some research and then come back to her. And I figured I would answer this question in sort of a empowering way. Instead of saying, well, here's some sweaters that you should knit. I'm going to show you how I would go about trying to find a sweater to knit. And what I would do is I would go to, so much glare, the advanced pattern search on Ravelry, and you have different categories here. Let's see, here on this side, it would be the left-hand side of the page. Different categories that you can select from. So I have done a sweater, an adult sweater that is in lace weight or light fingering or fingering weight yarn. And you can also, when you say which kind of yarn that you want, you can put in a yardage as well. So if you only had a limited number of yardage, you could find a sweater to knit that way. And so this is what happens when I have a quantity of yarn that I don't know what to do with. And then one of the things that I make sure that I look at is there's a way to sort your pattern, which is right next to that search box. You see where it says most popular? You can choose to do either the best match, the hot right now, the most projects, the most favorite, any of these selections. You can sort by that. So I like to do what's most popular. I like to look at that first. And of course the Epiode is one of the most popular ones. I would also recommend that Hannah Fettig does a lot of really lightweight sweaters. And so checking out, so like the featherweight, there was another one that she did, like the Whisper cardigan, there was one more that she had designed that I'm thinking of. But she tends to use a lot of lighter weight yarns. Yeah, they're so pretty. So that's how I go about looking for a sweater pattern. It all depends on kind of what you want to do. Do you want to do lace? Do you want to just have something sort of mindless, like just a stockinette, like the featherweight? There's color work. There's the poly that's where you're using several different colors, or there's different stripe ones. I haven't seen any like cabled ones, but there's this nice textured one, Grace by Jane Richmond. Yeah, so you just have to, here's a cabled one. You just have to sort of decide what kind of fabric characteristics you want to do for your spring, summer sweater knit along. There's Flare by Vera Valimaki. That's really pretty. I'm not sure I would personally knit that because I'm wider on the bottom, and I think that would emphasize how much wider I am on the bottom. Here's like a nice, easy, simple looking pullover. Oh, the Wispy. That's what I was trying to come up with. The Wispy cardigan by Hannah Fettig. So you just have to kind of decide what you want to do, and you can sort this by like fabric characteristics. If you want to knit bobbles, cables, chevron, drop stitches, eyelets, lace, mesh, ribbing, slip stitches. I mean, there's so many selections that you can choose. So you just have to kind of figure out what you want to make. And that's a great way to find new patterns. And then you can also, like if you say hot right now, you can see what's popular, which sort of changes up some of the, so like the Epiode is still up there, but the ones that are, the other sweater patterns that are there sort of changes. Like Endearment, that's really pretty. It's that bright pink one. That's really pretty. Anyway, that's how I would go about. And then you can also search by the yarn that you have. So since Empty Knitster has some Wollmeise lace, so if we go to yarns, and we go to Volmisa lace. Autocorrect. I hate you, autocorrect. I changed it to will rise. Lace. So the lace yarn. So when you pull up the actual the yarn page, there's a tab that says Pattern Ideas right there. So if you click on that, it takes you to all of the different kinds of patterns that you can make. And then up at the top it says all categories, and you can change that. Since I like to knit cardigans, I'm going to change it to cardigan. And it has all of the different cardigans that people have made using Volmisa lace. So that's a good way if you want to just see what kind of things people have made with the yarn that you have. So that's how I go about looking for sweaters I'd like to make. And I'm at 50 minutes in, and I still need to include some stuff from the boys. So, Empty Knitster, hopefully I have answered your question. Thank you, everyone who have submitted questions. I am happy to answer anything and everything. I really enjoy doing that. So after this, it's going to include videos from Easter, I think. Maybe not from Easter, but at least pictures and everything from the past week. So I hope you enjoy that, and I will see you all next week. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Bye.
Older angels and Thomas and Diesel. And two. I flipped it. The body too. That's a move.